Today's guest on UnMaxk is a regular face on City TV and also a regular voice on City Radio. He's someone that a lot of people love to call a broadcast journalist, but I know him as a man of many colors. He's somebody who loves rap. He has music on the internet and as a rapper, but he says he's not a rapper. NATHAN QUAO is our guest. He was once a lecturer. He translates languages and does a lot of things. In today's edition, we are going to talk to him, find out how he's been able to manage his many jobs and how he's been able to excel in all these ones. Also, he talked about his future and the plans he has and what he wants to do with his career. In an industry where a lot of people move around a lot, NATHAN has stayed with City TV and City Radio for 10 years. We asked him the reason why he's still with them and also some few lessons we can get from staying loyal to a project. As usual, my name is NATHAN Frank. This is UnMaxk. Enjoy this particular interview. When you are done, please hit on the subscription button, and as usual, let's build this community together. My name is NATHAN Frank. Enjoy this interview. NATHAN, first of all, thank you so much for
Welcome.
agreeing to speak with us. Hopefully, definitely, we're going to enjoy this conversation.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be fun.
I'm going to start with a bit of introduction because
Okay.
maybe I know you personally, but for someone who may not know who NATHAN is, like, what do you do?
Okay, my name is NATHAN QUAO. I'm a broadcast journalist at City FM and City TV. Basically, that's what I do. I sometimes do sports. Okay, most of the time. I do a lot of the morning show. I'm the head of research. So what does that mean? I help my colleagues with data, statistics, background info to help them do their reports, help them do the news, help them write the stories. Basically, that's really what I do at City FM and City TV.
Yeah, and I'm asking you this because I don't know, but I knew you as someone who does sports.
Yeah.
But there's a point that most often we hear you on the morning show
Yeah.
where you are not the person who even talks about the sports on
Yeah.
that platform.
Yeah.
And is that something that you do as part-time, or you are more of a part-time sports journalist?
No, I think in every sphere of work, when you start, you learn new things, you grow, you expand, and when you have your superiors, your bosses who think that there's a lot to you and you can do different things, they give you the space, or they throw you into the deep end and you try to do all these different things. So really, that's how come I went from being a hardcore sports journalist to now learning to do other things like be on the morning show, talk about politics or general issues, and then I've moved on to sometimes hosting the morning show, and then eventually ended up doing research for my colleagues or helping my colleagues with research or info. So it's all about growing, it's all about evolving, it's all about learning that there are different sides to you and being encouraged or sometimes being pushed to do new things.
I'm going to ask you this: how the sports journalism started? Because sports is not something that you pick on the road.
Yeah.
Like, you need to have an interest in it before you do it.
That's true.
Are you those kind of people, or it just happens and then you just?
That's an interesting question. Okay, so how did all of this start? I guess just like any other boy growing up in Ghana, you grow up liking sports. You watch a lot of football on TV, be it Ghanaian football, be it European football. You watch the World Cup, you watch an AFCON, you watch tennis, boxing, basketball, whatever. And I think it just started from there. But strangely enough, I always knew by age 8 or 9, I kind of knew that if I would do anything in future, it would be a job that would communicate. So I knew that I would either be a journalist or speak or teach, something of this. So I knew that I would speak for a living, really, to an extent. But as I got older, my interest in sports became stronger, less casual, deeper than most teenagers, because when I was 14, 15, 16 in Accra Academy in secondary school, I would engage in conversations with my guys. And at that time, some of my guys would notice that some of the things you are saying, these are like high level knowledge, it's high level knowledge. So I knew that eventually I would end up here. but it really wasn't as straightforward as I thought. So unis, this was in mid 2000s. I reached out to a few senior colleagues who were people who were practicing by then. I wanted, an opportunity. I really didn't get that opportunity. And then before uni, let me circle back. Before uni, 2004, I just finished secondary school. I got to do a bit of an internship at the now defunct Channel R. It was that time was the only gospel station around, and my older brother's friend, friend my older brother's friend's older brother. Let me put it that way. He was working there. He was the head of sports at Channel R. Their frequency was 92.7. That frequency is now 3 FM. So he was working there. He said, "Okay, come over. I hear you like sports." I said, "Yes." He said, "Okay. I mean, you are home. You are not doing anything. So come and intern." So I started interning. I'd go every day, learn to write stories. And then one day, accidentally, I was producing the morning sports bulletin, and I was in the studio with the newscaster. It was called George Gaffet. So he's a football agent now, and he started to choke on air, and the bulletin was live. So I just grabbed his script and I started reading the bulletin because he was coughing and he couldn't read. So I did that, and he said, "Okay, you're good." So we started gradually. He put me on air bit by bit. I'd read segments.
At that time, you were still an SHS.
I finished secondary school, and I mean, this is the thing about it. I finished secondary school. Accidentally, I get to read sports news, and it went well. So, like at that time, what was I doing? I'd go and report, go to one event. I remember I went to a Milo Marathon once. I went to cover some Black Stars events, Black Stars training here and there.
Like, don't just rap. Like, as an SHS student, someone that would
I'd finished secondary
and
school.
now you are watching Black Stars. Like, it's not an easy thing.
It's not really, but I was enjoying it. It was fun. It was great. I remember. Think about it. When I became a full-blown sports journalist, I never got the chance to interview Abedi Pele. But I interviewed Abedi Pele when I was interning at Channel R. Think about it. I got an interview with Abedi Pele when I was 17, 18, whatever. Whatever. So, the lighter side.
Yeah.
And then, so I was at Channel R. This was 2004, 2005. By 2006, I was still in school. I started uni 2005 January. My mates had done a few months. So this was the School of Translators. It was under the University of Ghana's Modern Language Department. So technically, my degree said University of Ghana, but I never went there. I went there only once to bind my thesis or something. But I was attending the School of Translators, which was under the Ghana Institute of Languages at the time. It was under Workers College. So
not just so that we can just add everything.
Yeah.
So you went into the university.
Yeah.
But as to learn translating.
Yes. Strangely, a lot of people will say why. Okay, so this was it. Influence from different ends. One, I wanted to learn a language. I wanted to learn a foreign language. But I did not want to go to the university and say, I went to learn French. No. So my uncle, who's passed on, may his soul rest in peace, he was a translator by then. He was actually working with the government as a translator. He used to fly around with Rawlings and people. And he said, "Why don't you do it?" And my dad was also convincing me that, look, it's a nice profession. I said, okay, I didn't mind. It was a very niche area. So I went, signed up, got in. I started, trying to get a first degree in translation. Great. So around 2006, I had still been doing on and off with Channel R. So during the vacations, I would go and all of that. At that point, I felt that I wanted to try something different. I wanted to do something new. And I felt I was ready for the next step. So I reached out to a few journalists, like I said. I used to go to multimedia a lot. I wanted a break. I didn't get the break, unfortunately. But I just knew that opportunity would come gradually. So by 2009, I finished school in 2009, finished my first degree in 2009. I met Christopher Opoku. Now, Christopher Opoku was my older brother's senior at Tech. So I met Christopher Opoku, may his soul rest in peace. Great guy. He was at Asempa FM then, and he was going back to Metro TV. Now, how did I get to meet Chris? One of the guys Chris was working with was the late Kofi Appiah. Kofi Appiah was with me at Channel R, Evangelist Kofi Appiah. So I knew him, he knew Chris, And he told Chris about this friend of his, young guy who he thought was good enough. And Chris said, okay. So finally, I went to meet Chris. This was at Asempa FM when they were at Pyramid House on the Ring Road. Yeah, I went to meet Chris, and it was when I met people like Jesse Kofian Ponsa, Prof, and then Godfred Akotobuafo. So the first day I met Chris was the first day I met Godfred Akotobuafo.
Okay.
You know, and there's a very interesting story. So our relationship goes way back, 2009.
Yeah.
So
2009
Chris, yeah, Chris says, okay, look, I'm leaving Asempa. I'm going to Metro TV. But when I settle at Metro TV, you will hear from me because I think you are good enough. So maybe I can coach you. I said, great. I was excited. Later that year, 2009, Chris calls me. This is in August 2009 to come to Metro TV and come and be on the panel for a game involving Celtic and Arsenal. It was a Champions League qualifier. And I remember which date was it? I think it was 16th of August. Maybe the date of, but it was in August 2009. Here I was, fresh out of uni. I was doing my national service at the Institute of Languages. So I was teaching at the time. And then Chris invites me over. He puts me on TV. And I was on TV. Chris was the host. I was I was a panelist. And Godfred Akotobuafo was the other panelist. So the first time I was on TV with Godfred Akotobuafo. And then it goes well. So just when the game ends, my phone starts to go crazy. People are calling me. Hey, I saw you on TV. I saw you on TV. I saw you on TV. Okay. And then it started like that gradually. And then later that year, Chris says, look, you're good enough. I want to put you on Champions League. I was like, wow, Champions League? He said, yeah, okay. Then he puts me on with Carl Tuford, the legendary Carl Tuford. So the first time I met Carl again was at Metro TV. Carl comes into the studio, he's chit-chatting with Chris, and I'm sitting down, you know, young boy, small boy, just looking on. And it starts from there. I made a lot of appearances during that year's Champions League. That was the year Inter Milan won the Champions League. So we did the entire season. And the rest, they say, is history, really. After that, I did some appearances on multimedia or multi-TV. At that time, too, I started to do some more radio appearances at other places.
So in that period, you were not, let's say, a full-time...
No. I wasn't working for any media house. I was just appearing as a guest and all of those things. And then in 2012, Gary Smith invited me to City FM. That time, Gary was at City. And I met Gary in 2010. So 2009, 2010 was when I met some of the friends I have in this profession, Gary at the time and all. And then he invited me over to do Premier League on radio. And then I started doing Premier League on radio. This was the 2012-2013 season. And I remember it so well. So by January 2013, Gary and Godfred, they were both working at City FM. They were going to South Africa to cover the AFCON 2013. And the desk was empty. But they needed somebody to sit in or to like hold things together here whilst they were away. They spoke to management and then they said, okay, look, do you want to work for like 1 month? I said, okay, I didn't mind. I mean, I had time. At that time, I had started doing my master's. I started my master's in 2011. 2012, I was done with the classroom work. Between 2012 and 2013, I was doing my thesis. I was writing my thesis. So I had time.
You were doing your master's in
international relations. Yeah.
Okay.
So I was doing my master's in international relations.
Even from 2009, when you were doing the TV appearances to 2012, what were you doing aside?
Okay, so 2009, I did my service to 2010. Okay. Between 2010 and 2011, I taught full time at the Institute of Languages. I was teaching English. You know, they call it English as a second language. So I was teaching foreigners. So my class was full of foreigners. I had some Ghanaians.
English teacher.
I was an English teacher. Wonderful. And I mean, even though it didn't take my whole day, it took a good part of my day. But I still had time, especially over the weekends. So I'd make an appearance here and there. Sometimes weeknights, I'll go to multi-TV and all of that. And then 2012 was when I did my first appearance on City FM. And we're talking about the Euros, 2012. So Godfred was hosting. I appeared a few times, you know. And then fast forward to 2013 when they went to the AFCON. So they needed somebody to hold the desk for them for a month. I didn't mind. I had time. I was writing my thesis and I had a lot of time. So I came to do it. I'll come every morning, come and read the morning sports, help produce the stories. They'll send things from South Africa. I'll put it together. And strangely enough, my learning curve or the learning process for me as a radio journalist. It wasn't too difficult. I don't know why, but it was very. I remember the first day I read the morning sports bulletin. I came in and I read no hassle, no hassle really. And then I started to learn a bit more about working in a newsroom, working with colleagues, going to do interviews and things like that. Working with a recorder, editing voices. So those were the times that I learned. I learned it on the job. And then when they came back in 2013, when they came back at the end of January, early February, the management asked me, and it was Bernard Avle who asked me, "You've been working here for a month. Do you like it here?" I said, "Yeah, I like it here. So do you want to stay?" I said, "Yeah, I want to stay." They said, "Okay, no problem." So they initially employed me on a part-time basis. And then from 2013, like that, after some time, it became a full-timers contract. 2015 or so, I became sports editor. That's when Gary had left. Gary had moved on. He went to multimedia. And I became sports editor 2015 thereabout. Evolved. And then I started making my appearances on the morning show every now and again. But the appearances became more consistent when Richard Sky left. He went to school. So they needed somebody to fill his spot. And then they said, okay, I should do it. Initially, I didn't want to because I didn't think it was fun. I wanted to do sports. But over time, I liked it, learned new things, added other dimensions to myself. And here we are.
It's not like somebody out. Yeah, it's I've been at City for 10 years, since 2013. And I've had several offers, very juicy offers. But at every point, strangely enough, at every point when an offer has showed up, it never felt good, because it's either I'm transitioning to a new position, might just have a new responsibility. I don't think leaving that responsibility makes sense. I haven't worked in that role for a while. Why should I leave? Why should I go ahead? Why should I do something else? You understand? Or I've been given something new to do, and just at that time, somebody says, "Oh, come and work with us." I look at the situation and say, it doesn't make sense. Why should I leave when I've been given new work to do? My superiors are looking at it and they are hoping that I deliver certain things. What's the point? Why am I leaving? So, yeah. So it's not like the offers have been come, the offers have come. I'm just really just...
And I think what that I would deduce from what you have said is the fact that you will be stagnant and not stayed at a particular level.
This is, things have evolved. Like I said, I was just a reporter at the start. I became an editor for a while. Then I, became head of research. In between all of these things, my on-air personality started to change, because now I stopped doing only sports. Now I added a different dimension. I'll do morning show. Then 2020, people heard me on election programs.
Yeah.
I'm on the field. I'm analyzing election numbers. So I feel that because of the evolution, that's what has kept me interested in this job, because there are always new things to learn, new things to do, new ways of doing things, and acquiring new knowledge. I'm all for picking up new knowledge to make me a better person and a better journalist. So I've been very happy with the evolution. You're right. The fact that there are always different things happening, I've not had the urge to leave, because a new thing means a new experience. I'll learn something new. By the time I finally decided, okay, I want to do something else, I'm sure I would have learned a lot. And then I can take all that knowledge and carry it to my next job, wherever the next job may be.
And this is a bit personal, because there are others that may not have that skill in crowd. So what are you going to tell young people that are in this career, that what do they need? What do you have to be? Put yourself in a way where you're not in just a 10% facade.
Look, it's everything in life is growth. Everything in life is evolution. Everything's changing. Today is not the same as yesterday. Tomorrow will be different from today. The journalist you are in year 1, you cannot be the same journalist after year 5. Between year 1 and year 5, you should add different things to yourself. If you can't write, you have to learn how to write. If you can't analyze, you have to learn how to analyze. And these days, I tell people that the listener or the viewer is more sophisticated than us. They probably have more knowledge than we do, but they don't have a microphone or they don't have a camera. So you need to ensure that what you are feeding your viewer or listener is something they don't know, a dimension they've not thought about, an angle they haven't thought about, some analysis they haven't heard of, new knowledge they don't have. So there's always about evolving. It's always about growing. It's always about self-development, right? And how will self-development come? By reading, by adding knowledge, by being curious, by speaking to more experienced people. I don't understand why, for example, a journalist to say, oh, I'm covering, say, a GFA election, and there are legal clouds around, say, an injunction. Why can't a sports journalist call a lawyer and ask, hey, can you please explain what an injunction means? Or you get my point. So it's all about adding new knowledge so that when you speak with a lot of weight, a lot of knowledge. That's what makes you remarkable. That's what makes people look at you and say, this guy is good. It's not because you speak nice English or you look nice, but it's because you have a lot of knowledge. And knowledge you have acquired by reading, asking questions, speaking to people, getting their experiences, then blending all of that to make a point. You get what I mean? So that's what we must all do in this space. Evolve, get more knowledge, become better at what we do. So we become better communicators, but better educators, because the listeners learn from us or the viewers learn from us. So we should know a lot to pass on that information and knowledge to them.
Yeah, bring that basically, and then it's when you entered city and you were doing the media, at that time you were teaching.
Yes.
Did you do the two? Okay, or just said, okay, now I'm a full time.
Okay, so for a while, I joined City in 2013. Up until 2017, I taught and did media work. So I was teaching at the Institute of Languages still. This was years after I did my first degree and after my service. And then sometime in 2018, I got an appointment at UPSA. So that from the onset, they knew I was already doing media, so I couldn't do full-time teaching. So I taught twice or 3 times a week, I'm not too sure. 3 hours next day. Sorry?
Wait.
No. So I thought something different. I was teaching business communication at UPS. It was very interesting. I'd never taught communication before. So I had to learn what they wanted, and I had to use my own experiences as a media person to add to that, to add to the syllabus or the course content, and then I delivered. So I taught that for 2 years, up until COVID. So COVID disrupted a lot of things. So by June 2020, COVID had struck, schools were not really in session, they were doing online, and then the university had to reform a few things. So 2020 was when I last taught. But I haven't taught since then, but yeah, it's good. Maybe I like to teach in my later life. The truth is, I would like to teach later on in life. So maybe I like to study, maybe get a PhD one day and properly teach, invest.
Listen, there's something that I've picked, and it's something that made the young people come up and there's a general perception. I call it a perception because I just made that's our job as media men. It's not financially rewarding as it may look like. So it's always great if you would have something else you could do in addition. We needed testimony of that because for a while I'm drawing to and read. What would we say?
Look, I mean, getting an additional line of income is good for everybody. It doesn't matter what you do. If you can combine 2 things, 3 things, 4 things, as much as you can handle, try and do it. Of course, you don't have to do one at the detriment of the other. That is why I never took a full-time teaching appointment when I started working at CITI. Anybody who said to me, come and teach, I tell them, I do a 9 to 5 at CITI. So I have to fit you into that 9 to 5 so I don't lose the 2, or one doesn't affect the other. So yes, and it's good. Yes, you say you earn an extra salary. Wonderful, you earn an extra salary, which is great. Everybody likes money, and we all want to earn more. But it teaches you different things, time management, how to manage your own self, how to deal with. Because now you move from a newsroom of 20, 30 people to a classroom of 100, 200, 300, and you're managing different things. And you also have the expectations of the students to meet. You need to meet their expectation, the expectation of your superiors in the school, even your own professional conduct, because they know that you are coming in as somebody who is experienced. How do you handle yourself? How do you comport yourself? How do you behave towards students? What kind of relationship do you have with them? What kind of relationship do you have with your colleague lecturers? Even though you are not a full-time lecturer, you are still part of that teaching community. So you learn different things. But like I said, don't do one at the detriment of the other. You are a journalist, but your teaching job is affecting your journalism work. Don't do that. Or your journalism work takes you away from the class. You can't teach effectively. No. Balance the two and everything will be fine.
You appear to be someone who has been able to do, like, appears to be a man of many talents.
Yeah, that's true. One of different parts.
Yeah, someone who, I mean, we've done all brilliant work, even with music. How do you do it? Like, what's your secrets for someone who is watching and say,
okay, the secret, I think the most important thing is to identify the various parts you have. A lot of people don't know that they may have this part or that part or a combination of different things. First, understand that if you are talented on one track, that is good. If you have 2 things you can do, great. If you have 3 things you can do, wonderful. So first, identify that. But then ask yourself, of these 3 things that I do, all of them can't be done equally, because one pay your salary. The other one might give you something small on the side. The third thing might just be a hobby. In my case, my 9 to 5 is journalism. If I ever get to teach again now, it will be something I do as an addition. Music is something I love. It's just a hobby. Because if I say I want to do music like all the others, like Sarkodie, EL, M. Dot, Kojo Q, whoever, all the guys I love, it means that I need to take time off, because it's a 9 to 5. I need to give music the same attention. Writing songs, recording songs, promoting them, going for interviews and all of that. That I cannot do. But I love music. So I can release music as a hobby. It can bring me some money, great. But I don't think I'll go on tour the whole Ghana and say, I'm doing a NATHAN QUAO. That's not what I do. What I do is I'm a journalist. I write, I speak, I communicate. That has its advantages because it provides me a platform. So if I have a song, I can put it on City, don't play it. And then my following on social, if I share a song, people will like it. So it's about leveraging, using all these tools to leverage. But I can't be a journalist and be a rapper. It's impossible. I look at my first job is a rap. He does it 9 to 5. Look at Sarkodie. He's doing a world tour. Can I leave my job for 5 months and come back and still meet my job? No. So yes, you have to know what is most important, what comes second, what comes third. If you can manage all 3 equally, wonderful. If you cannot, give everything time, but know what is the hobby, what pays my bills, and what supports what I do. I think once you can make that distinction, you are okay with it.
Because as young people, and where we find ourselves now, where Kinky is now by solution.
Look, getting extra income is great, but you also have to learn to manage yourselves. Don't wear yourself out. Some people do different things and they are tired. You have to take care. It's something I had to learn over time. Learn to take care of your own self. Because it is this same body that will go and teach, that will come and read sports, and that will go and do music. If you mistreat this body, it will fail you. So rest is important. You have to learn sometimes to tune out, right? When you get home, relax, rest your brain. You have to be balanced. You have to be balanced. For a large part of my adult life, there wasn't a lot of balance, but I had to learn to do the balancing. Like when there's a nice place, go to nice places. Go out once in a while, see the world, see Ghana, see Accra. Learn to it, because you see, in doing that, in managing yourself, managing your time, doing other things, keeping a balance, you are every day refreshed to do your work. For example, if I say I'm going on a fun trip to Kumasi, by the time I go and come back, I'll see something on the way that I'll note down that when I come back, I can talk about on the morning show. It may be good, it may be bad, but it's an observation. And as a media person, I can share that experience and maybe get the government to react. So everything fits into everything, but you have to learn to draw a balance. It's important. And then the rest part is key. Look, young people out there, learn to take care of yourselves. Take care of yourself. Rest, eat well, manage your life. Because if you don't manage yourself, wear yourself out, and then you pay the price by paying heavy hospital bills because you didn't take care of your own self.
So we are wrapping up, but what's one thing that we would say has been able to keep it together? Us, you have an incredible day tonight. But listening to you, listening to your story, you talk about somebody who wanted to do something, went for it, got the opportunity, took it, and did not stop learning. You find yourself at a point in your career doing something different from investing, teaching,
But none of that, and I want to.
so many things that was about that stand out for living. How you living it? Which ones?
I think it's all about just the will to learn,
Just learning new things, learning new things,
and always evolving, always redefining yourself. It's important because I look at you, I look at your colleagues who are doing media. You guys are brilliant. Most of them are doing great work. Look at how they write. Look at someone like Fifi Amaman, super writer. Look at some of the young guys who are working, Orif King, Yao Fusu, his colleagues, and even like that crop. Yeah, they all have great abilities, great traits, and they are learning and they are growing. So somebody who's older and a bit more experienced, I cannot sit down and say, I won't learn anything. So it's about learning, evolving, learning new things, always growing and always developing. And for me, that's self-development is important. I have gone through different phases and I'm still growing. When I look at myself, there's a new thing I want to learn and I want to get into something new, something different and evolve. So it's just that, it keeps you going. Of course, I mean, look, to talk about the intangible things. If you are religious, religion helps you. And religion has helped me a lot. The fact that you can rely on a higher power to guide you, to support you, to give you opportunities. Family is equally important. I mean, I had the nuclear family I grew up with, my parents, my brothers, and all of that. Now I have a wife now, so she supports me and she encourages. So those things will all have to come together. Your own will to succeed, your desire to learn, the spiritual part to fall on when there's an issue, the support system around you, so a spouse, a partner, your family, even older colleagues. I'm very grateful for the colleagues I have who are like older brothers and older sisters to me. And I talk to them concerning even personal issues and they guide me, they support me, and they are willing to give me the opportunity to also learn and grow. And they encourage me and say, Nathan, this is not the end. There's a lot more you have to do. And I'm excited by having all these things around me to keep me going every single day.
When are you releasing the next?
I don't know. When am I releasing my next song? That's a tough one. I can't tell, but let's just say I am thinking about it. Whenever it's ready, I'll put out new music for Ghanaians to enjoy.
Musicians, the proper musicians, like the proper ones, they talk about inspiration and how they write their music.
Yeah.
Someone will say like Bookie Hearts inspired them, right? What she starts, right? What we say now today, dear, instead of going to do a research about, let's say Manchester United or Chelsea, I want to write. What inspired that?
What inspires me to write? Again, the inspiration can come from anywhere. But most often is when I hear, typical of most rappers, get inspired by the music we hear. Somebody sends me a beat, or I hear a beat somewhere, and it kicks something off in my head. And then that inspiration forces me to sit down, pull out my phone. These days I don't write on paper. I pull out my phone, write, and then we get there. So it's about, but I don't know, it could be anything. But most of the time when I hear music that is good and it kicks me or it pushes me to sit down and write, why not? I get into that space and then I pour out everything else and write the code.
So your parts as a musician, like, is this something that you knew about this one?
Yeah, I mean, I'd always loved music. I say that music was always around. My dad, I can say, should I say was or is? He doesn't play anymore, but as of the time I was born, this late 80s, my dad played for the Ramblers, but he was a keyboardist. And maybe that's why I play the keyboard or whatever. And yeah, he was always playing music.
So you grew up in it?
Yeah, I grew up in that environment, listening to all kinds of things as a very young boy. And as I got older, just like sports, I loved music more and more and more. But it was in secondary school when I went to Accra Academy that I discovered that I had this thing for rap music. Of course, it came from first listening to other people's songs and rapping along, and then go like, maybe I should experiment. And then I started to experiment. And it came off really well, and over time, I bettered my skill, sharpened it, and you have the rapper you have today.
Whenever I tell you a story, man, I can't tell them to give me a freestyle.
No, who's that, bro?
It happens to be effortless too. Like not a freestyle, but like your if you can create a freestyle with what you're doing for like any line from your movie,
Okay, freestyle.
maybe I can use it for mine. One day, my
Wow, I see. Okay, all right, okay. Listen up, my folks. This is NATHAN QUAO. People see me drop a freestyle and then they say, wow, I'm black and proud. You should listen to this sound. And maybe when you catch this podcast, it flies back around.
that's good.
That's not,
I would use it for mine.
that's not even the best. We're going to use it. It's okay. You take
Well, it was great. Like I should have let you mention the name of the podcast. It's called UnMaxk.
It's called
UnMaxk.
on mass. Okay.
A few lines for it.